Sorry, I was eating lunch, I guess. Snack. Lunchable. Yeah, so I don't know. Like there's yeah, like I'm right there with you. I'd totally like to just talk shop for a few minutes, right? So I wasn't even talking about like software or like computer stuff. I was just talking about the grow process, like specifically with like cannabis cultivation. I have a YouTube channel, but I also love like checking out other YouTubers like cannabis YouTubers, right? I just love it, right? So one of my guys, right, is Scotty Real. I joke I think Scotty Be Real, like Cypress Hill, but the guy's name's Scotty Real, right? And I remember he was just talking about like at some point like setting up like a 55-gallon drum that's got like a little float valve in it, and it's hooked up to like it's like hooked up directly like his water line, and so he has like effectively like infinite water in this setup, and I believe it's connected to like his tents and grow rings or whatever, or I'm not sure how he does his thing. Maybe it's just one tent. I think yeah, because my understanding he does perpetual with two tents. Like I'm doing two tents, but I'm doing batch run. Yeah, so like automation for me, like I was talking about, I'm not going to be able to automate like the defoliation. I wish I could. Like that's my shit that I'm lazy about. And the reason why I'm lazy about defoliation with my specific setup with these is because I've been running scrog netting and auto watering pots, and so I get it set up, and then I have like a little siphon, right? It's over there. I don't feel like moving the camera to show you this time. You're going to just have to look through my videos on YouTube to find it. Or maybe there's some videos here on Twitter. Anyhow, yeah, like I use a siphon with like a little PVC pipe attachment, and then that way I can kind of reach like the hard to reach water towards like the back of the tent. And I mean, I feel like this is a pretty solid setup. Now, during veg, I'm not going for the auto watering saucer. I'm just top feeding, and I'm usually feeding kind of heavy, like every other day. Like I'll try to get a good dry back rhythm established. So I think about like wanting to, automate the watering system or something so that, like, as it stands in the middle of flower, I can get, with everything topped off, I can get about 3 days of water time, right? And then on top of that, I can get like another day of the dry back cycle. And so I can kind of get away with about 4 days of leaving like the tents alone. And everything's on timers and stuff, right? And I just keep the fans on constant. And so I suppose that's like the limit of my ability for the batch run here. I do have a little tabletop lab set up, like right there, and that is a bit more manual. But I mean, ideally, like I'd try to maybe be on vacation, between runs, or have it planned out accordingly. This setup now is done so that I'm shooting for 4 pounds a run, and like my annual consumption is like 3 pounds, and so. Yeah, like the goal is just always have like plenty of weed on hand to just enjoy my life. So that was that about that automation. Now it's against the automation you're talking about, right? So I'm like an old school kind of guy. Like I've done software since 2014, really, right? I started out as like a DBA kind of databases guy, and then I worked in operations for a bit for like an old employer, and then I moved on to like just kind of web development, and then like doing, when I say automation, I'm talking about like running a Python script or something, like running a bot, or running like a Python script that's connected to a database, so it's kind of doing the capabilities of like a bot, like an AI kind of thing. Like what you're talking about with N8N, like it kind of reminds me of IFFT. IFT. I think there's no longer IFT. I think it became Zaps, like Zapier, Zap apps. And that's just, kind of like the low code, no code solution to have different APIs talk to each other to get your task done. And that's fine. Like, it's pretty cool. But the thing I see with like AI kind of stuff is like if you're in the know, like I'm in the know, like you're not going to be able to sell me AI stuff, like because I already did automation when I didn't have AI, when I was using Stack Overflow to try to figure out my stuff. And so now that we have LLMs, I'm just going to ask the LLM like I do, like, hey, this is the thing I want to build. These are the features I'd like to have. I'm thinking I'd like to do it with, this software and this methodology. Is this incorrect? And if not, are there actually better ways to go about doing this? Can you please compare and contrast those findings? Like I'll do that, and that will get me like ground running, like way farther than some what do you call it? Some no coder online who's just like, yeah, I want to build this API that I can take a picture of the weed and it tells me the weed. Like, I'm gonna know like a little bit more of like what to describe with that, and that's cool, So it seems like AI solution stuff really kind of it'll really work well for like Zoomers and for like the Gen Alpha, and I say that because those motherfuckers weren't exposed to Windows computers and having to use the command line to do things. That was like a smartphone generation kind of situation. And so you had things like Android and iOS, right, acting as the prevailing user experiences for those kids and for those young adults. And so they don't, like you had to really be exposed to and wanted to work on something custom where you needed to use the terminal or the command prompt to get something done, and that was your bit of exposure to it. And then it kind of, it kept going and going, right? And so, like the AI software and solutions that you're thinking about building for people, it's going to be for, Zoomers and for Gen Alphas. And possibly millennials that aren't, that are technophobes, right? That aren't into technology. But it's funny, right? Because it's like, it's a paradox. Like you provide that sort of solution to those folks, like that solution's kind of like it's kind of nebulous, right? Like it's not tight fitting and tight coupling unless you're a dev and specifically like these are the things that I need, like these are the exact features I need. But if you're that far in the weeds, you're not using an LLM. Like you're using an approximation of something that gets the job done just as well. I say that because the use is because in order to use an LLM, you're either going to be a data scientist and doing all the local setup and the infrastructure so that you can handle the inference, local, and that you have the resources to be able to run your compute time so that you can generate your LLM, right? Like you need to have that all planned out accordingly. If you don't want to do that, you can, just use like the Claude or Cursor or whatever is out there. Like as you can tell, I have not really done my research to know what the current offerings are. Anyhow, like those solutions, right? Like and Vercel is a very good example. Those are things to where it's designed to kind of give you the kitchen sink and say, oh, this is easy. I got this. I can do that. And then you vendor lock in and they kill you with those usage costs and the overages. And so it's not a sustainable business model. And so that's going to be the collapse of the AI bubble that's happening in the horizon. These kids don't know any better. They just think, oh, crap, look at these people and their AI girlfriends and they're clearing $10 million a month. Money over fist. Holy shit. That's exactly why dumbass Elon and dumbass Sam Altman are doing their things and backpedaling what they had because they thought they were going to change the world. But here we are. We see that the actual use case is people are using them as little buddies to talk to, and they're using them to shortcut the whole, using a Google search engine. You're not really getting agentic AI happening because the amount of cycle, and you're well aware of this, the amount of cycles that are necessary to perfect the product and to perfect the product offering are gonna negate like the rapid deployment, the rapid change and iterative design, right? Because if you're really trying to break things and be rapid and iterative design, that's how you get like security incidents, right? And that's how you get like denial of service like vectors that happen. Because like you didn't have the prerequisite knowledge before the fact to figure out that, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that this way. Maybe I should really implement full-on authentication. Maybe I shouldn't run JWT as an OAuth mechanism because I don't know what I'm doing and I just have omniscopes. So one login credential, that account can do all sorts of stuff, but I really want to do federation, where I'm actually like have multi-tenancy accounts, so I can have sub-accounts, and I have permissions, and I can limit the permissions of my sub-account users, just like what happens in AWS with provisioning in IAM. Now, this is something that, that you don't know unless you actually went through the steps to either learn it, or you had a past experience where you built on the thing and, oh, crap, this is how I do that. Okay, cool. And so, with that automation, it's fascinating. Like, I see all the other people around me that weren't devs that are trying to kind of get the foundational knowledge, like learning Python, like trying to understand, linear regression, and what is it called, polynomial algebra, right? To be able to do the local optimums. Like, that's the tenets of machine learning, which is the tenets of what the LLMs are doing to be able to get your answer, because it's doing lookups on a vector database that's generated from the compute process and cycles that happen. Yeah, I mean, so that's that. I don't see kind of where, but it's on me, right? I think it's like, if we just infer and take a step back and think about the internet, like, we didn't have Gmail, right away. We had Google, but we had Gmail, like, later. I remember when Gmail was, like, it was hot shit to have a Gmail account. You needed an invite to have a Gmail account. Like, that was a game changer. And the thing about that was, I think they were offering something, like, unheard of. It was like, what was it? Was it a gig? I think it was 1 gig. They were offering you 1 gig of storage for your email account. Whereas, like, Yahoo was, like, 250 megabytes or something. Because the prevailing one before that was Yahoo Mail, right? And it's funny because I think Yahoo Mail got big because of AT&T and SBC Global, right? And so it became SBC Yahoo, and that was kind of like the broadband to the world. It was like the AOL, but for DSL at the time. So, right, like, the stuff's like not in a vacuum. The world works fourth dimensionally, and so I can't see what exists in our future, right? Like, I can imagine, I can dream, but I don't know really kind of what prerequisites will exist so that I can, really hit the ground running. I don't know. I don't know if you're into Bitcoin or not. Probably not into Bitcoin, but so in 2014, there was this company and it was named 21 Co, and they put out this software and the solution. Like, they raised like $100 million at the time of series funding, and that was like unheard of for like a Bitcoin company. That was insane. It didn't make any sense. So yeah, like, they honestly like overpromised and underdelivered like a motherfucker. But the point of their solution was, you buy this Raspberry Pi computer, it has this custom Bitcoin mining chip, and if you buy their product, you're buying into their ecosystem. And so it would teach you how to mine using their hardware. It would teach you how Bitcoin works under the hood, and it would teach you how to create these APIs, right? And you would then post these APIs onto 21Co. And the idea was that if your API was popular, other people would use the API and they'd be able to spend Satoshis, like Bitcoin, to be able to use your API. And so that's where this is going to go, right? That died, by the way, right? Like, that wasn't... It was a cool idea. It was novel, but, like, it didn't catch on. Like, people were not interested in spending, like, $400 for a Raspberry Pi with a custom Bitcoin chip that wasn't hardly pulling any sort of money. Like, you spend the $400, buy $400 worth of Bitcoin and move on, right? That was the answer. And so, and the other thing too was, like, I thought, to me, the killer use case was, it was showing you how to write APIs that they would host, and therefore they would have this marketplace of APIs, and if you built the right combination of APIs, and it's caught on and people used them, you had the first mover advantage, and you could actually build something from that. You know, something that's like mailbox money, right? Recurring revenue, right? Like, that was the draw. That, to me, was what seemed really cool about it. And so, you take that story and carry it forward, and you can see what's happening now. Like, these companies like OpenAI and Grok, right? They provided this product. It was larger than life. People love it. And then it turns out that they're not really making hand over fist money because data centers are expensive and compute time is expensive. And that's the reason why ChatGPT Pro Research Preview is $200 a month and not $20 a month. And that's the reason why Super Grok is like $40 or $60 a month. It's not $20 a month. And yet, look at their models. Like, their pricing models, not the AI models. Like, I thought that it would... Well, shouldn't that be sustainable? They're charging this money. It should be good to go. They should continue to add on features and talk about optimizations that they're working on. And they do a bit, but what is the thing that we hear about? That, oh, they're doing porn bots now. Oh, we need to have companions. Like all the slop that, individuals were making to make money hand over fist. And so these AI companies are seeing that, hey, like, I need to clear some revenue. Well, this is some low-hanging fruit, and other people are getting adequate success for doing it. I should do it too. And so, yeah, like, the bubble's, like, imploding. And, like I'm saying, like, I'm not the target market for these AI products because I'm using the AI product to just solve my problem. Or if I want another, like, a perfect example, right? Exactly perfect example. Like, I do YouTube videos, right? And so my style is, like, I'm just sort of like a talking head like this. And then, like, to the side, I usually have, like, a GIF or a thumbnail or something, right? Something to kind of act as a comedic effect or just kind of like a moment, a break from my talking head, right? Because that shit's boring. If you've been awake and you haven't fallen asleep, congratulations, man. You're doing great. And so, yeah, like, part of me, right, was like, I caught myself going to Giphy, like, every, moment, every few moments, or going to Google Images every few moments to pull, like, these crying GIF. Like, let me get, like, 20 GIFs of crying. Let me get the top, like, get 3 or 4 of them I can throw in. So I just went to ChatGPT and I was like, hey, can you build this script for me? Like, have it connect to Giphy's API, have it pull the top 20, results for a keyword that I can type in, have it so it's an input, and then have it so that it doesn't close the program. It keeps the input prompt so I don't break my workflow. And yeah, sure as shit, it did that. Like, it was ready to go. And so, yeah, that's why I say, like, I'm not quite a market for AI automation tools that, like, another dev created and then presents. Now, it could also be that I just don't know what I don't know, and there is something that I could do instead of looking for work, and that could, help me get 14 grand monthly recurring revenue. And hey, I'll just do that rather than focusing on looking for work, right? I don't know. Like, I don't know. But, yeah, like, I see a situation where, like, automation is acting kind of like a gee whiz product, but if things really do catch on in a major way, what'll happen is you'll have the AI acting on behalf of you in sort of an agentic manner, like as a bot, and that these connectors for interoperability, these MCP servers and standards that are made for the AIs will be sought after, and that's where the first mover advantage effects could be made. Well, it's been over 20 minutes. I'm sorry I took up your time. Like I said, I'm right here with you, man. We could talk about this all day. Send me a response. Don't worry if it's 40 minutes. I'll listen in. I appreciate you reaching out to me, man. I love you. Please remember to love your neighbor. Take care.